Okay, I am going to call the meeting to order of the Orange County Industrial Development Agency today, June 11, 2020, and I'll start with a roll call of the board members. So Mr. Diana?
Here.
Mr. DeSalvo? Where'd he go?
We lost him. He's here somewhere.
I know, Mr. Brescia hasn't made it in yet, right? Mr. Gatos?
Here.
Mr. Scrabbice?
Here.
Mr. McCary?
Here.
And management staff, Lori Biasluzo, the executive officer, Vince Cozzolino, Melanie Schouten, Kevin Dowd, and Russ Ganzel, attorneys extraordinaire, and Joel Kleinman, soon to be retired CFO. We also have Ed J, and I'm not going to try to say your name, Ed. He is going to be joining us as he's going to be replacing Joel, so we'll talk about that in my report further. So next up is the approval of the minutes, and first item of business is the May 14th board meeting. So are there any questions or comments with respect to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then additionally, the May 14th, 2020 Governance Committee meeting minutes, which I also thought were fine. So anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, good. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve them as presented.
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay. Anybody opposed? Too bad. Okay. Okay, next up is the financial reports and/or requests for payments. So Joel, this will be your best and final CFO report for today, or are you going to let Ed do it?
No, I was actually going to do that, and
Okay.
I hope this will be my best one.
Okay.
So
All right, go
if you refer to it's at the 5th page into the board packet. The first schedule is the Orange County IDA, the schedule of bank accounts, certificate of deposit, and money market accounts and investments as of May 31st, 2020. And as of that date, we have total investments and funds of $6,681,939. We have 2 CDs that are coming due in August, and then we have another CD due March of next year. Actually, let me correct that. We have a CD in August and a treasury bill that's coming due in August. The other thing that we're finding is that the interest rates are obvious in the last several months are in our money market accounts have dropped tremendously. And at this point, I don't think any bank is doing any better than any other bank. But
No.
Unfortunately, the rates are just dropping down.
I've just looked, we had a 6-month treasury. And that, I think the 6-month T-bill rate is like something like 5 basis points or something like that. So we're not getting any of that either. Okay.
Our money market's better,
Mr. DeSalvo?
our money market rate's better, but I wasn't. I'm just saying. Sorry.
Okay.
The next page is the income and expense summary for the IDA. We have year-to-date income of $182,046 and total expenses of $167,890.
Okay.
Just so you're aware, what we've done, a change from the previous month's report, Ed, myself, and working with UHY, the accounting firm, I've always explained each month that I present the monthly financial report on a cash basis. And I think in the past it worked better, but I think because of recent activity that we've embarked on, that reporting closer to a accrual basis, or let's say a hybrid accrual basis, is more accurate. So one of the things you'll notice under the May column at the very bottom of the first column, May 2020, and it shows shovel-ready program a negative $506,180. The reason why you're seeing that is that prior to this month, we were reporting that's the outlay to the Warwick Valley shovel-ready project, which is all those funds have been exhausted. And up until now, we've been reporting that on a cash basis, meaning showing the disbursement as an expense. And then at year end, we were going to adjust that as a receivable. The decision was made to switch that over to an accrual basis. So that's why you see a negative. We took the 506,000 out of the expense line, and now it was reclassed as a receivable. So I just want to make you aware of that. And we'll talk later about the OFC where we made a similar change. So we're closer to the accrual basis. And the point of doing that is at the end of the year, when these monthly reports are shown, they'll better reflect what the year end will look like in the financial statements. Up until now, we've been reporting a cash basis, so there's been that difference of accrual versus cash.
Right.
So before I move on to the accelerator, any questions regarding that?
I'm happy to hear that you're doing that. I think it's a more accurate reflection. It'll create less confusion. But I think it would be helpful if the balance sheet were to be included in the presentation, because that's where you're going to tie to those transactions. I don't know, is it a big deal to put together the balance sheet, or is that something that's readily available?
That's something Ed and I can look at. Ed is very, very comfortable, and he's very, I'll say this, Ed is more knowledgeable of QuickBooks than I am. So if there's a way to do that, we'll work on that. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if it is part of QuickBooks, I know you can make reports pretty easy and you can customize them. So I don't want to I don't want you to reinvent the wheel here, but I do think it would be valuable from a presentation standpoint to see it as it's happening instead of at the end of the year.
My own comment is you just have to keep track of whatever receivables are. That'll probably be the
right.
How close we're on that. But it sounds like the assets are going from cash to a receivable. That's pretty up to date.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
If we move on, I'm sorry.
Any other questions, anybody?
Well, we just move on real quick to the income and expense summary for the accelerator. I apologize. Is there any other questions on the IDA? I didn't mean to cut you off. If not, we'll move on to the accelerator. We have total income year to date of $70,805 and total expenses of $1,016,239.
You mean $1,016,016.
Thank you. $1,016,239. See, already we know Ed's going to do a better job. If there's no questions, if you return to the next page, is the summary of monies received and vouchers to be approved. We had two checks that came in. One is for Dance Scammer. It was the closing fee of $23,300. And then we have a labor audit escrow amount of $2,000 from Craftify. And I'll just explain that. We have that on they paid us an additional $2,000 requested. And then on the vouchers that we'll proceed to see, the very last line is $2,000. The check made out to the Orange Bank and Trust Bank, and we'll deposit that into their individual escrow account. So we're showing the money that came in and the money will go out. And again, these are balance sheet accounts, not income and expenses. We have vouchers to be approved, total $26,568.50.
Okay, anybody have any questions regarding the vouchers and payments? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve for as presented.
So moved.
Thank you. Okay, somebody's got a second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you, Joel.
You're welcome.
While we were here, Mary Ellen, did you want, we have on the agenda to the resolution that we have to appoint the CFO. So
oh, yes. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, so I guess, Kevin, you'll go ahead and read that?
Sure. Resolution appointing the new IDA Chief Financial Officer for 2020, and that would be Edward Janiskowitz. I hope I said that right.
It's good enough.
right.
Janiskevitz.
Janishevitz, right.
I would have raised my hand.
Okay, so we need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion with regret that Joel has decided to cash in the chips and probably do what some of the other members do, and half of it down in Florida and half of it up in New York, and always in shorts and t-shirts. So Joel, thank you for all your years of service.
Yeah, I'll second
Thank you. I
that.
appreciate that.
Although it really wasn't Joel's choice necessarily, because they were going to take his money away. So,
Oh, well, in that
I-
case, Joel, see you later.
okay. I see Steve Brescia has joined us. Is that correct? You there, Steve?
Okay, so roll call. Mr. Schreibeis,
Yes.
Mr. Diana,
Yes.
Mr. Brescher, is he on?
I see his icon. He's muted though. You there, Steve?
I'm not yet. I'm here.
There you
can't
go.
hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
You
I
want to
tried
vote?
getting on the video. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Good luck,
Okay.
Joel. Whatever.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. DeSalvo,
Yes.
Mr. Gatos,
Here.
and
I get in the game.
who am I missing?
Me.
McCary,
Mr.
Podolsky.
Zagorski, I know you. I'm missing somebody.
John McCary,
All right.
McCary, I'm sorry, Miss McCary.
yes.
There you go. 7 ayes, Madam Chairwoman.
Okay, thank you. So welcome, Ed. We're happy to have you join us.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
And Joel, again, I'll second what Jim said. You certainly served at the IDA greatly for 13 plus years, and has always done an exemplary job despite being tormented by the ABO and others. So, and a lot of times you had a lot of heavy lifts. You set the office up and facilitate the changes in the growth. So I really appreciate it, and I know you're going to enjoy your retirement because there's nothing like retirement. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so new and unfinished reports, so chairman's report. So that's my first part of the chairman's report. And also again, to welcome Ed. We look forward to working with you and your expertise, especially with the grants. So I think that will really help us a lot. And then the other happy thing I am here to do is to virtually present a plaque to our former board member, John Steinberg, who's with us today. 30-year plus board member, former chairman, one of my favorite curmudgeons on the board, I might add. And just say that his expertise, both in his technical expertise as an engineer, construction and real estate, and business acumen in general has been invaluable to the IDA in the projects that we've done, in the programs that have expanded. He was very involved in a lot of the innovative things that have gone on. So on behalf of the Orange County IDA, I would like to present you the plaque you already got with sincere thanks. And if you want to say a few brief words, John, we'd love to hear from you.
Okay. I have a long speech prepared, but I'm going to give you the executive summary.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I'd just like to thank everybody that served with me for making my experiences with the IDA interesting, challenging, sometimes a little frustrating. To John, the newcomer, I wish you good luck, John, and I hope you have as much fun and enjoyment as I had.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right,
Anybody
John.
else would like to say anything?
I'd just like to say that, I wish you all the best, John. The legislature presented John with a plaque, and we gave him a lengthy speech. I did, and John gave a lengthy speech back, and wish you all the best, John. We've been friends a long time, and you're just a class act, top to bottom. And God bless.
Agreed.
John, congratulations. As soon as these restaurants open, we're taking you out.
That's right.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, I don't have anything else. So we'll move on to the CEO report. So CEO, it's up to you.
Okay, thank you. Again, I'll second everything, all of the lovely things that everyone said about you, John. It was lovely to work with you in my days with the IDA. So we're sad that you're no longer with us, but I'm happy you could be with us today for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So For my report, we just have a few things to go over. First, as we reported last month, we had an ABO audit of two projects, two 2018 projects, the Dana Distributors project, as well as the IBM pilot. We've compiled a response and completed it, sent it to the ABO yesterday. They acknowledged receipt. So unless we hear back from them, that matter is closed. But essentially, they were confirming some employment figures, rose some questions about items and resolutions, and then we answered all of their questions, made sure that we were transparent in what it is that we're doing. And then if there is any more conversation, we'll be sure to let everyone know. We'll forward the response to the rest of the board after today's meeting. The second thing is Paris reporting. We've gone through a long process to get Paris back to where it needed to be. There were some issues in the past where some figures were reported inaccurately. We contacted the ADO and the state comptroller to fix it. And in order to do that, we had to go through a process to make sure that the correct numbers were being reported. That being said, all of that is behind us now. Joel confirmed today that 2018 and 2019 are fully submitted. So we are all square with Paris and have a clean slate to go forward with 2020's annual reporting process, which Ed will get his first taste of this year. Sorry in advance, Ed, but it'll be, I'm sure, a delight for all of us. The next item is just a brief piece of legislation was that the executive order to hold meetings remotely was extended through July 6th. That being said, the IDA's office is actually part of phase 2. In order to reopen under phase 2, you have to submit or complete and submit, a plan, a safety plan. So the office is undertaking that now. We're still working remotely, for safety, and because it's working, we are all, and certainly as staff, continuing to work remotely. We'll continue to do so until the reopening procedures are set forth. That being said, with the executive order for remote meetings in place until July 6th, our meeting is on July 9th, I think. Let me see. Yeah, it's July 9th. So we will be in touch before the next meeting to let you know if that one will also be virtual or if we'll be back in the building at that time. There is, as a not a warning, but as an announcement, the New York State EDC, of which I'm a board member, is holding an IDA Academy June 24th and 25th. It's going to be virtual, so it'll be not unlike this. But their topics are going to be state comptroller reviews, the new prevailing wage law, legislative updates, some energy incentives. But in addition, there are going to be a board member staff compliance training on the 25th from 11 to 1. This would satisfy the PAAA training requirement for all board members. So we're going to encourage everyone to attend. We'll organize that, but you'll be hearing from us at the office to schedule. Like I said, it's an hour and a half or so. I think it's good. Actually, Jeff Perlman from the ABO will be conducting that training. So I think it could be a nice opportunity and certainly more enjoyable than I think the original webinar that most of you took, which is a lot of Paris heavy information. But we'll be in touch with you on that and we'll coordinate everyone. The whole staff will attend.
Lori, is that going to be live?
It's virtual.
Okay, so you're not going to be able to ask any questions then?
No, it will be like this. So yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay.
In person, you have to be on camera. They have to certify your attendance. So if I'm not mistaken, and I'll know more details. The announcement the invitation just came yesterday, but I'll find out more details when we contact everyone. But as I understand it, it will be interactive.
Okay, good, because the other one was terrible.
Yeah, and I know that they did this before. Actually, they were going to, if COVID hadn't struck, we would have had an in-person IDA Academy actually here in the Hudson Valley. And we would have had that in person. And so that there would have been give and take at that. So I presume there'd be give and take at this one as well. The next one is this is just a little bit of housekeeping. A few months ago during the audit phase, we were talking about the Drury Lane, Brionics, and New Hampton items in the audit. We were asked to confirm some of the items or the amounts that we were writing down. And we had to go back and do a lot of historical digging. Because the office has been closed, we haven't done that. But now that we're starting into phase 2, we will be doing that. Kevin and Ed J now will be working together to find the appropriate amounts, and we'll report back to that hopefully at the July meeting. There were certificates of independence in most of your board packets. I just want to remind everyone to sign those and get those back to Melanie. That's one of the requirements of our bylaws and of our policies. So when you get a chance, please sign that and return it. I'm going to talk a little bit about, actually, I'll turn this over to Melanie. I'm going to put you on the spot here. On your agendas, there's the revised IDA agent proposal for the Friends of the Orange County Youth Bureau. So I'm going to turn over to Melanie to talk a little bit about that before I finish my report, so she can kind of explain what we're doing. As a reminder, we have a number of agents in our annual budget. Youth Bureau is one of our agents. And at this point, we're going to make sure that because of COVID, a lot of their plans changed. So they've gone and revised everything that they're going to do for us. And Melanie's been working with them very closely. So Melanie, take it away.
Okay, so I've shared my screen, so if everyone can see it. I know that she resubmitted the original proposal with additions to it, so it's 19 pages long. So I condensed the major changes onto the spreadsheet on my screen. So for the past few years, we've been hosting a youth leadership conference, and all of the public school, or excuse me, all of the school districts in the county are invited. That's been done in person. I've been informed for the next 2 years, it's not financially feasible for the schools to do that, or nor do the schools understand how they're going to be managing things. So we're going to be switching that, or they're going to be switching that. We'll be working with them to a series of videos, potentially just filmed or might be live. We're really trying to interact with the schools to see their preferences, and we'll be covering a series of important topics like interview skills, time management, fiscal literacy, life skills, connecting to local resources, things like that. They were also hosting a Hudson Valley Career Program where a consultant would work with the library, Ramapo Catskill Library System, and she would go into the schools and work with them on somewhat still interviewing skills, but also really how to formulate a proper resume. And then they would also hear from people in the community and their experiences, whether they went to college or directly into the workforce. So let me see, they're going to, the library system's going to switch that up and also make a series of videos as resources to the youth in the community. And really, for both the conference and this career program, the benefit is that we can actually reach more people being virtual. So this will be accessible to more youth in the community and more school districts throughout the county, no matter what their financial accessibility was prior. So that's really kind of a benefit here. And I've asked potentially if the library could do theirs in both English and Spanish, so reach in additional communities. They had, about a year or so, they had asked to launch a program to work with the Medical Reserves Corps and Career Guidance and Support Program, and to engage with the youth to really fill this huge gap that medical services and emergency services in the community were experiencing, and potentially even closing some programs because they didn't have enough volunteer staff. So that's had to be put on hold because all of the essential workers are extremely taxed right now. So one of the things I did talk to her about was, are the youth that feel healthy and strong enough to still volunteer in the community, is there somewhere they can access all the information for volunteer opportunities? So they did some research and they found out that the United Way actually already has an underutilized portal that people can buy volunteer opportunities at. So the Youth Bureau doesn't really have the funding to create their own portal. So they're asking if they can please work with United Way and also municipalities and other programs in the community to research opportunities, volunteer opportunities for youth, and the youth goes up to age 24, so it is young adults, help draft and list those opportunities and then direct people to that resource. So that's one of the things they'd like to change. And then the last thing that they really did was they worked with WEDC to host a 2-part webinar for nonprofits and educators who quickly had to change format and engage youth and teach them on virtual platforms right now. So that was something they've already actually did. I believe it was at the end of April. So that was something extra that they did when the kind of first hit. They organized and put that together. So those are the major changes. Does anyone have any questions? Concerns? Anything?
I think that's good.
Okay, so those will be the shifts in how we use funding. Do we need any kind of resolution for that change, or we're notifying? Okay, there you go.
Thank you. The next thing, the last thing, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the COVID response team. So again, in the efforts to alleviate some of the stresses on our business community in light of the COVID crisis, we've developed kind of a very comprehensive plan to assist businesses. We, as everyone knows, in our OCFC, we created a loan fund. All of those checks, it was $500,000 worth of loans, have been sent out. Management system is in place. Ed Jay will be working with our accounting firm and our software to make sure that when those payments come due, which is not going to be until December, that we'll be in a good place to start collecting and monitoring. We've held 9 webinars so far. We've had hundreds of attendees. The last 2 were on the reopening process. So the county executive have shared them recently to help businesses throughout Orange County be prepared for the reopening. So we've gone through phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 3 is coming up quickly. So we'll likely do another one for that if there are any unanswered questions for phase 3. Over $6 million of CARES Act funding was enabled by our team. Galileo, Vinny's staff at Galileo, along with staff at the IDA, have talked with hundreds of businesses. They followed up with all of the recipients of our loan fund, but also any businesses who contacted us seeking help for their PPP or EIDL programs. So those individuals have contacted all of those businesses again to create to tally that total. We're very proud of that because I think that's an incredible opportunity for our businesses to weather the storm. Mary Ellen, Vincent, and I have attended several county exec strategy sessions on economic development and the reopening process, which is good. The economic development community is all in lockstep. Steve Brescia has connected us with several companies throughout the county and allowed us to sort of deploy our response teams to those businesses that were in need of assistance. And that's been everything from helping them figure out what they need to do for their funding, to helping them pivot their businesses to some new endeavor that's going to allow them to transition for success on the other side of it. In addition, the Town of Montgomery IDA has contacted us and asked us to be a partner to them. Most of you may know that they initiated, I think, a grant program in partnership with maybe the Community Foundation. And as an aside, they wanted to see if we could help the businesses that were still struggling with some of their business issues. So we've agreed to partner with them on that and have helped some of those businesses out as well. We've provided our OCFC loan process to a number of IDAs and LDCs throughout the state. You know, everybody's looking for examples and kind of formulating their own processes. And as one of the IDAs who really created this process in the middle of the storm, it's been helpful because we really had a soup to nuts program. So it's been, I think, helpful for everybody in this community. We have our next webinar on June 18th at 10 o'clock. That's next Thursday, a week from today. It's going to focus on the PPP forgiveness. Again, as we've talked about this in the Accelerator Committee meeting, but you know, the rules and regulations around these SBA loans and these funding opportunities have changed very quickly and have changed quite a bit since their original since they were deployed originally. So at this point now we're trying to keep up with the changing legislation, but we actually have one of Russ Genzel's partners at Harris Beach. His name is Josh Steele. He's an excellent attorney. He did a fantastic job for us the first time around. He's going to be doing that a second time. People who attended that were very, very grateful, and he was very thorough. So we're looking forward to that. And then, of course, as you know, the board last month expanded the AWOW program. And to that point, you know, all kinds of companies have been reaching out to us for help in restarting or renewing or their businesses would help them solve issues. So that includes OCFC loan companies, companies who receive loans from the OCFC, but also new businesses reaching out to us every day. So I think it's something that this board should be very proud of. You know, this has been a really comprehensive approach to assisting our businesses, and we've really had a focus on, actually, I wanted to say we had a focus on small businesses, but we've really dealt with businesses of all shapes and sizes, of all walks. You know, we've gone from retail to manufacturing and back again, restaurants, anything you can think of, we've really kind of put in our wheelhouse. So it's been an incredible thing to do, not only to see sort of firsthand what our businesses are going through, but also to be able to provide a resource. I think it's so valuable for an IDA because there are a lot of things that a lot of restrictions that we have, but this has been a really great way to deploy help to our business community. So with that, that is my entire report. And unless you have any questions, I'm all set.
I'd just like to make a couple of comments if I could. I wasn't able to attend many of the webinars live, but I did watch them on the website. And I've said this before, but I want to say it again. I think the webinars are really well thought out, well organized. They were right to the point with issues that are really meaningful. And you guys did a great job. So I just, again, want to say thank you for the hard work you do. And it shows, you know what I mean? It shows the professionalism that you have and the professionalism of the organization. You know, I am really, even though I'm not working in the banking industry anymore, I'm really scared for the borrowers and the bankers of this SBA PPE money because I think I'm afraid that it's going to be a big problem for everybody. Especially if they keep, changing the rules midstream. So I would encourage the board members and anybody else who's watching to take a look because they are very informative and they're very succinct. So it's, they're really worth the time that you could take to watch them. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, and the loan program. I was also very pleased with how the the staff put that together, and it wasn't just the staff; it was board members too. We all got together and we pulled our bootstraps up and we got it done. But I was very pleased with the outcome of that. Also, because to your point, we were able to deploy all of the money. We were able to deploy it basically throughout the county with very limited exceptions. Touched all different kinds of industries, and what I was really pleased about is that most of the businesses that we helped had been in business for 15 years or more in Orange County. So, we decided we wanted to hit Main Street. That's what we did hit. And, and even though it was only 10,000, I think a lot of those businesses really got very strong benefits from that. So again, kudos and, good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And then as a reminder to anybody who, as Mary Ellen said, if you aren't able to attend live, but you do want to see kind of what we've been up to, I guess, for lack of a better term, on our website, there's right in the middle of the homepage, there's a COVID relief button. And when you go to that, that has all of the resources that we've accumulated on the one page, including every single webinar that we've hosted, both as a video and as a PowerPoint. So if you or anybody that wants access to something like that, that's all out there available for free as a resource to businesses in Orange County. So thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Next up is the Accelerator Report, Vinny.
Okay. Lori, are you putting up the charts or?
Give me just 1 second. Let me get back to the start here. Okay. All right.
All right. So I'm going to give you an Accelerator update. As you know, the 3 board members that are on the Accelerator committee get this in a deep dive detail. So I'm going to try to skim it and give you an overview using the same charts. I'm going to try to not talk as in-depth as I did in the last meeting. So if any of you want more information, please stop me and I'm happy to give it to you, or we could do it later. Okay, so let's go through the agenda. I'm going to give a quick status on the existing accelerators. Our Accelerator Without Walls expansion program that we approved last month and what we've been doing with that. And then some information about our newest accelerator, the Artificial Intelligence Accelerator in Highland Falls, just down the street from the West Point Military Academy, and some key takeaways. Okay, next chart. So the existing accelerator status, points of interest. You may recognize Steve Brescia in the photo on the right. I'll get to that in a minute. Our Middletown campus is open. We reopened it in phase 1. We have all the right safety precautions in place, as was mentioned earlier, that the state and the Center for Disease Control recommends. We're in good shape there from our pod point of view. We're working with the landlord of the Middletown campus, though, to make sure that the same precautions we're using are used throughout the common areas in the rest of the building. In our fashion manufacturing cluster, which is Newburgh, New Windsor, Chester, where our fashion companies mostly are located, that those companies continue to work together to manufacture PPE products, which are much needed during this COVID crisis. We published a catalog, and that's been distributed to lots of people, including Orange County purchasing executives, to see if they could buy some of these locally made PPE products. They've committed to do that, and we hope soon to see some orders coming from them. We've also prepared a catalog for schools, which has a discount. So should schools want locally made PPE products. So PPE products for us, again, are face shields, gowns, hospital gowns, face masks, and several other devices of note. It's important to know that we've manufactured over 3 million face shields since this crisis has begun between Orange Packaging and Mello and a couple of other companies in our Accelerator Without Walls complex, probably 10 million masks. And we've just made a lot of stuff. And this is shipped up all over the United States, as well as locally. And just a thank you to all of the board members who have participated to help our companies stay in business through this, especially the fashion cluster. Mary Ellen for connecting us up to St. Luke's Cornwall was they were the first to agree to work with us to purchase some face shields. And then Steve Brescia, who's brought us several companies that have either been in need of PPE or he went to visit personally to make sure they had what they needed to produce PPE devices. More about that later. In our 605, 603 complex on Broadway in Newburgh, Zeal is growing again, and they're starting to make the move to upstairs. You remember they have the first floor. They're starting to make a move upstairs, put some heavy equipment. They got some good investment, and they have some new products they're introducing in addition to the athletic wear. The issue in all of our fashion clusters is that every one of our fashion manufacturing companies, everyone is hiring. However, every one of them is having a difficult time finding employees. And I think we're okay with the pay per hour. Several of the companies are actually even paying medical benefits. I don't know what it is right now. So we're going to take off a special project to try to identify what it is we have to do to get people interested in working in these facilities. They're nice facilities. We put them together. So we have to understand what's happening there. We'll partner with people like Steve Knob from the county and others, but we do need to figure this out. This is what's affecting our growth. We had an interesting project go on in between one of our Middletown Accelerator companies called Alternate eSource, who manufactures a no-touch automatic face temperature scanner with the brand name Kentex. And that is a unit that you can put on the wall or, basically anywhere. And you simply look at it and it takes your body temperature. You can then take action off of that body temperature. You could, if the body temperature is too high, let's say we're using it at schools, at elementary schools, for example, a little email or text could be automatically generated and sent to the school nurse that said, somebody just came with a high temperature. Or if you were in your own private facility, you could use that face temperature. Once you pass the temperature scan, it could unlock the door for you. It could do whatever you want in terms of actions, or simply go, no go. So in the day of COVID, where we are now, we have to do this temperature measurement quite frequently. The unit itself is very elegant. It's a very technological. It meets the need. But we had met PRG again through Steve Brescia, who PRG at that time was making a face shield, and they wanted help to expand the market. PRG is a company, it's a $1 billion company, and it has a facility in New Winter. And PRG mostly provides entertainment products for like Broadway, movie theater sets, things like that. They made all of the gadgets that are in the Phantom of the Opera, for example, all of that artistic stuff. So once we met the company and we realized that making face shields wasn't going to sustain the number of people they had in their facility, we knew that they needed to pivot again into something new and different. And since they had in-house a cabinetry shop and machine shop, et cetera, and since we knew this Kentex scanner was out there, we saw the ability to merge the two technologies. So take the scanner and put it into some sort of elegant packaging, which then possibly could be used when the day comes when people will be lined up outside Broadway theaters and have to have their temperature taken on the way in, or children at schools on their way in, or at the Yankee game or whatever. So PRG took the scanners, and what you see in the picture on the right, next to Steve Brescia's right hand, is a scanner on a pedestal. We have many other artist conceptions and pictures and 2 prototypes up and running. Right now, PRG is targeting to sell 5,000 of these units. Steve, 5,000 of these units. We started with 2. We're buying 2 for the IDA. We're going to pilot them ourselves in different different projects that we want. One may be right at our own building, but we know that a lot of camps had to be canceled this year. There is a camp opening in the village of Montgomery, and we're going to actually pilot one of these face temperature scanners for the children going into the camp. So we're going to put that out there. So anyway, interesting project. And again, the way accelerator companies are working together. Question? Next chart. This is the sign that's on, for those of you who said we don't advertise well enough, we used to have a banner. Now we have a nice sign, finally, between 603 and 605 Broadway. There'll be, no one will wonder anymore whether we have an accelerator in Newburgh. Next. So our Accelerator Without Walls program, as you recall, these are companies not physically located in our accelerator buildings, but in Orange County that we support. Just a couple of highlights here. So as you know, we administered nearly $500,000 in Orange County Funding Corporation loans. Every loan recipient company and every company that had contacted us for help with the CARES Act, which is the PPP and the EIDL loans, that's a total of about 190 companies. Every one of them we have reached out to and discussed, and in many cases already started a plan to help that company grow their business. Now, some of them could just pick up and start running where they left off. Others have a deep hole to fill. Several have to pivot and start something new, just like our fashion manufacturing companies have. And we have plans in place for all of those who have asked for our help so far. It's very interesting, and it's also very interesting that these companies have discovered us for the first time. And I think they will say that this is going to be a good experience for them so far. We're no longer just in the manufacturing business. Then with AWOW now, we are in everything from retail to ladies' hair cutting. We've run, as Laurie said, now we're up to our 10th webinar. We did not want to be in the webinar business. We know there was a need for it up front. So as part of our COVID recovery, as Mary Ellen mentioned, we tried to get the best speakers for all of our webinars, experts in the field. We used federal resources, state resources, as well as private sector people. The webinars are very well attended, hundreds. And because of that, we haven't yet put them away. We're continuing to run them because there are topics needed. For example, even though the EIDL loan, the PPP, has been out for some time, the federal government changed some of the reimbursement or loan forgiveness rulings regulations about a week and a half ago. So we'll be doing a webinar just on that with an expert from Harris Beach, and we'll do that next Thursday. So as time goes on, we hope that the need for these will be less and less, and maybe we'll just do an occasional one. But so far, our clients, the companies, the businesses in Orange County have been sending us lots of ideas for webinars they would like us to talk to. We also send our own folks to some of the other webinars. HVEDC runs them. Bill Fioravanti has a series going on. Pattern for Progress has a series. And our hope was that once we discovered those other webinars, maybe they're doing what we would do, we would gladly give ours up. But unfortunately, ours has a very blue collar, roll up your sleeve flavor to it. I know several of you have been on those webinars, and the other webinars are of a different flavor. So right now we feel we're still filling a need. And then we have a large ongoing consulting projects going on. I'll just talk about two very quickly. FPS is a company that was in Florida, New York, making fashion apparel. And we made the move with them to Chester, to a much bigger facility. This is another fashion company that's hiring, looking for 15 more people right now. They're making millions of face masks. The nice thing about it is, once you're in a company, once you're selling face masks to a company, you're in that company, you have a new customer. And so you could ask that customer for other things, other work they may have for products that you can manufacture for them. And that's been a sure path to growth for all of us. And another interesting one is Tradeshow and Design Consultants. This is a company that was making exhibition booths for trade shows. There are no trade shows right now. So when he called us, there was a lot of panic. What do you do with companies like this now? Of course, we pivoted right away into another form of PPE, which is those plexiglass shields you see everywhere between bank tellers and human beings or anybody. And but there are more unique partitioning now that's coming out of Tradeshow and design consultants that we're helping them with. And we're also marrying with some of our other PPE devices. So it's just some interesting stuff going on with Accelerator Without Walls clients. Any questions on that? Okay, next. What I really want to talk about today, I'm almost done, is the Accelerator AI. So this is our artificial intelligence accelerator. Just as a reminder, this is an accelerator we intend to build about a block away from the entrance to the West Point Military Academy. The idea was to leverage the engineering school at West Point and the centers of excellence that they have in the artificial intelligence field to the benefit of companies that will come to or are in Orange County that would like to grow and grow with us in this new emerging industry of AI and hire people, and to sort of, as we did with fashion, as we did with personal care products, to seed future jobs. Next. I'm not going to go through any detail here except to say we have a good interest in the companies that want to come to the accelerator. This is a sample of them, and we're doing everything here. We're looking at everything here from telemedicine related companies to virtual reality. Very interesting company that is done using artificial intelligence and dietary science, has a nutrition plan for oncology patients. This seems to be very effective in helping patients who have cancer and treating cancer. So everything we've seen in this AI field is exceedingly technologically forward-thinking. And for Orange County, this would be a very, very good cluster. For Highland Falls, we think it'll be transformational. The people who will come in here will be, all of them will be well paid, all very well skilled. The West Point Military Academy itself, commander, who's recently as last week, recommitted to this project. They think it's great for both their students, their faculty who are largely PhDs, want to do research with private sector companies, and they're willing to come down the hill and participate with us in these companies and in the accelerator. We, on the other hand, want to leverage the smarts and the talent that are at West Point, and that will create other commerce within the village. So we're still very bullish on this project. Okay, next question, next slide. So where we stand with this is we're still selecting the companies to go in there. Obviously, COVID slowed us down, but we'll be making those decisions on the companies in the next 3 or 4 weeks. We're going to run an artificial intelligence conference. And as you can see in the picture on the right, those folks are wearing virtual reality goggles. We're actually going to run the conference where anybody could attend it, but you will be attending it by using these goggles like this, so you have to buy on your own. But it will give you the feel of you being all in the same room together in a virtual reality environment. So we're looking forward to that. Where we stand with the lease building, and this I'm going to offer up at the end of this, with Eddie Diana's permission as chair of the Accelerator Committee, we're going to issue up our recommendation. We have found a building in Highland Falls. It's the old Key Bank building. We've talked about this before. We have there is a landlord who is in final paperwork, I guess, to get the building purchased, and we would lease from that private sector landlord. It would cost us about the same as our Newburgh Accelerator, all in about $15 a square. And then once we have the building secured, we would start the move-in of our clients. We hope by fall we'll be in a position where there'll be more people who want to be in a building together. Obviously, we would fit the building up with partitions of some sort, largely plexiglass, like from one of our Orange County companies. So next chart, and then I'll get to the key takeaways, and then I'll get to the proposal.
Vinny, is it at what point are you taking any comments or anything, or how's it working?
Yeah, you can make a comment now, Jim. Sure.
I just want to extend some gratitude to the Accelerator Committee. You know, my tenure on the IDA, you know, and in county government, I didn't really get a good feel of the IDA until I got on the board and then understand how it works, and especially the Accelerator program. In our little community in Highland Falls, there's two things that have been talked about in great detail over the last several weeks. One of them is that the president's coming for graduation this Saturday, and the upheaval that's causing with, you know, security, et cetera, which we're kind of used to in town. We've hosted a lot of presidents. And the other thing is this Accelerator program. Now, and I've heard from the little guy who owns a little shop on Main Street to some severe high up brass on West Point. And for the first time in my life in living in Highland Falls, there seems to be at least the verbal unity that we've probably been searching for a long time between the post and, you know, outside the gate. And I, you know, I want to thank the Accelerator Committee for that, and all those who participated. And I think it's going to be a huge thing for this section of the county, which, you know, as we, you know, go over Route 6 and we get to Highland Falls and Fort Montgomery, and, you know, it's sometimes the folks there, you know, forget that, you know, we are part of Orange County, even though we're so close to Rockland. But I think this is such a huge thing for Orange County, and definitely a huge shot for our local community to attract folks who, like Vinny said, you know, these higher salaried folks in a huge new market, especially with this virus craziness, and what they're going to be able to look into, and the technology that they're going to be able to bring, and that cooperation with West Point, their leadership, local leadership, and the students. It's a huge thing for us in town, that we actually get West Point to step out of the gate, and now they're in our community, and now we're working together. And that's all being possible by this Accelerator program, for the first time, like tangibly. And I think it's a huge thing, and I'd really like to see us move forward with it. And again, I thank all those involved.
Thank you, Jim. All right. Anybody else before I go on? Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. So, and the takeaways, our CARES funding, now it says 100 survey responses. So we helped about 140 companies. 100 have reported back to us that they received over $5 million in funding through the EIDL program or the PPP program, that's phenomenal. And so many of them have told us that they would have never had the energy or the bureaucratic diligence, let's just say, to make it through this application program on their own. So that's kudos to Tom Delator, Nancy Proyect from our extended team of Galileo and the IDA. They really drove this home. We were getting phone calls 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night from people desperate to get access to that federal funding. So it was a good program. Our people became experts on it. So thank you.
It was Nancy's with the Citizens Foundation, not the IDA. That's all. Just wanted to
An extension of the IDA.
Yes.
Yeah. We provided company-specific answers to questions regarding PPP forgiveness. So that was the biggest issue. After people got the award, they wanted to make sure that they could get reimbursed for the money that didn't turn into a loan instead. And there was a lot of negativity nationwide in the industry on this. We were able to overcome that. For those 140 companies. We've calculated about 240 jobs got retained as doing this from our small part in it. And the creation of 30 new jobs was all around the PPE stuff and the sewing. And of course, you guys approved the $500,000 small business loan. Every one of those loan recipients has also been accepted into our Accelerator Without Walls program, so that we can continue to help them make it through not just COVID, but reinvent their business for growth going forward. Everybody seems to like that theme, to new energy, help me reinvent my business going forward. That's what we're trying to do. So I want to close with just two things. We didn't talk at all about our cannabis or CBD cluster in this. that is a sector that is suffering. So our fashion's doing great. Our personal care products and medical devices are doing very good. You can see the interest in the AI cluster. But the CBD and cannabis cluster is not doing so well. So of the 3 marijuana facilities in Orange County, only one of them is actually in production right now, Pharmacanis, and there's a huge inventory there. And then on the CBD side, where we have our investment of about $1.5 million, New York State law, commerce laws, et cetera, that they were going to put in place to sort of protect the New York market with higher quality goods. Stuff had to be grown in New York State, hemp had to be grown in New York State, and then processed in New York State to sell in New York State. The state backed out of all of that. Now that's after all the investment our private sector companies put in, we put in. It was a surprise to everybody. Now we're expecting that to turn around later this year, when the governor takes up cannabis and CBD and THC again. Unfortunately, they're inexplicably, in my mind, married together, but that's the way the government handles it. So we're hoping that that's going to create some momentum to move forward again. There is new testing protocols that are being considered right now in New York State that we think they're going to push forward, that will make it much harder to sell out of state CBD in New York State unless it meets certain high quality. That would help us. But in terms of what happens to our investment in that, Mary Ellen asked to have a meeting with Mike Sweeten, who is the town supervisor for Warwick and our partner in this project. And Mary Ellen, you want to say just 2 minutes on that, and then I'll close with the AI.
Sure. Yeah, so we, my concern was, getting the current status of what our $1.5 million repayment of our investment was going to be. I was concerned with all that's gone on with the state that, they might not come forward with the money, especially given the fact that the project is sort of in limbo land right now. So we had a meeting with Mike, and Mike's not only the town of Warwick supervisor, but he's also the managing director of the LDC. So, and he understood my concern. Long story short, after a number of discussions, he feels very confident that the state is going to continue to support that, that the money's gone where it should go. They've secured additional funding to, try to finish the project, stabilize it and position the town so that the project's in a good stead to move forward. The town board members actually voted to approve the town of Warwick paying the ability for the town of Warwick directly to pay the Orange County IDA if the state of New York does not fund the ESD grants. So obviously, and that's a matter of public record, so that gave me a lot of relief. I think they've done the proper things to try to stabilize the situation. The fact that the laws didn't move forward is really the primary reason why this whole thing has gone awry. So we are reasonably hopeful that it will, the laws will be changed and modified so that, we can move forward based upon the original assumptions that we and the investors had. But I feel very comfortable that the IDA is going to be protected. It may take longer, it will obviously take longer for us to get that money reimbursed. But I do feel that investment has been protected, and we should feel comfortable with that. So, did I cover it?
Yeah, I think you did. Any questions for Mary Ellen on the CBD? Okay, so Mike Sweeten is packaging up some grant reimbursement now for New York State that will help us get some of our money back soon. Okay, Eddie, should I put up the AI recommendation for the rental, or do you want to do it?
I'm reading his lips. I think that he said, go ahead.
Go ahead. He said, go ahead. Okay. All right. So the Accelerator Committee, thank you, Ed. So the Accelerator Committee is met, and we have a decision to make on this Key Bank building to locate. The Accelerator Committee is Eddie, Diana, John McCary, and Mary Ellen Rogalski. So the decision out of that meeting was the building is 16,000 square feet. It's about $15 a square foot. That's about the same we pay for our other accelerator facilities, roughly. So the idea was, can we go in, take 8,000 square feet, half of the building to start, with a 60-day, give us 60 days then to decide on taking the second part. So we would take half up front, and then within 60 days, make the decision to take the rest of the building, coming back to the Accelerator Committee to keep them informed as we go along. So that is the proposal, I believe. Did I get that right, guys? Mary Ellen?
Yes.
Eddie?
Yeah, I would say yes. The only thing I would add to that is that, at this juncture, management isn't sure whether the landlord is willing to accept
Right.
renting half of it, but that's why we defer to the 60 days so we can really figure out what's palatable and what isn't. So, and we, the committee unanimously wants to support their recommendation.
Any
That's correct.
questions? Any questions on that recommendation?
Okay, do we need a vote? We don't need a vote, do we?
Just quick question real quick. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is there a way that, so just run that by me one more time. So we're going to say to the landlord, hey, we're good for 8,000 square feet right now. And then in 60 days, we'll reevaluate depending on who we get. Is that the goal, Vinny?
Yeah.
Jimmy, I thought our thoughts were that in 60 days or so, we'll have an idea of how many clients are interested in taking some space. If we see after, 45 days, 50 days that we're pretty much filling the bottom floor and we have other interests in the top floor, then obviously we would move forward with the entire building. If we were seeing that was not a lot of interest, then maybe we would only stay to half the building versus the whole building. That was just the option to give us insight as to what was happening for people to move into that building.
And the committee doesn't think that will, cause the landlord to have second thoughts?
Well,
we gave Lori and Vinny the ability with the other staff members to negotiate the deal and talk to the owner and see where they're at. As soon as we get some more feedback on on those discussions, then we'll make a firmer decision. That's the way we left it.
Yeah, I mean, from a budget standpoint, I think, we just aren't completely willing to sign up for the full building right now. We don't want to lose the opportunity to secure it if we need it. So,
Right.
Management really has to get a better feel for, what the landlord is willing to do. And then, we'll take it from there. I don't know that the building would, even accommodate outside tenants. I mean, I'm not familiar with it. I don't know if the upstairs has a separate outdoor, entrance. But, we want to give them the ability to negotiate as hard and as tough as they can. And then if, they can't get the first floor alone, then just come back to us and we'll, discuss what we're willing to do.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so with this then, I would say also, can we then, if it would be okay, if the board would empower the Accelerator Committee then to make that decision based on the staff coming back with the information, so we don't have to wait for another IDA meeting? Is that okay, Ed?
The board's going to have to approve the entire lease. We're still negotiating the terms, as you know, Vince, so.
Right.
Yeah, we're not doing a lease now, right?
The owner hasn't purchased the property yet either, so the landlord rather, so.
Right.
We have some time.
Okay.
Okay. I do think it's important that we button down the deal as much as we can, because, I agree with you, Jim. I think it's going to be a good thing for Highland Falls, and it's really great to get the military, the West Point finally involved, and that can only be good for everybody.
Yep,
All right,
I agree with that.
Now, do you need a vote or no?
I don't believe you need to vote right now, because I said we're still negotiating all the terms of the lease, and there's quite a few that I have to, so.
All right. Anybody have any other questions or comments they'd like to make?
John McCary.
Yeah.
Do you want to definitely take a ride up there to look at this building?
Absolutely. Within the next 10 days, you know.
So John, let me know. I'll be willing to ride up with you if you want me to.
Very good, Ed.
Okay,
Why don't you guys let me know when you're gonna be there?
that's fine too.
Very good.
All right, Jimmy.
I can wine and dine you.
That's it.
On the sidewalk.
Now that you got your suit on.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so you guys can go ahead and move forward and see what you can get.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so that's the accelerator report, correct, Vinny? You're done?
Done.
Okay, we're just gonna mix up our order of business here and do Hampton Park first because the owner or the applicant rather has a 3:30 meeting that they're probably already late for. Lori, can you do your thing, please?
You got it. So before we introduce Mark to speak, and it'll probably, I think, be very quickly, this is kind of a 2-for-1 because both items on our resolution part of our agenda have the same issue. Their sites were essentially shut down as a result of the COVID crisis. And because of that, now all of their incentives are a little out of whack. So for both this pilot and the Legoland pilot, which we'll discuss in a moment, while the county and town tax year is 2021, the school tax year is 2020 to 2021. So that being said, we want to take, we're not giving another year necessarily, but we're taking the pilot and putting it off 1 year. That way they can maximize the sales tax exemption as well as the effectiveness of their pilot. So the request is just to do that. So adjust it so that it will start in the year 2022 for town and county and 2021 to 2022 for the school district portion of the pilot. So Mark, did you have anything that you'd like to say? I see you're here and unmuted. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, Laurie, you kind of summed it up very well. We're respectfully, requesting assistance from the board to do what you just said, due to circumstances at hand. We don't need to beat it to death. We all know what's going on out there in the world. And it's had impact on our project. And, we need the extra time to bring it to fruition for the best of all parties.
Yeah, I would just like to add that I think it's important to acknowledge that we're just pushing the initial date down the road. We're not giving him any additional monies or any additional incentives, and I think it's important that in these times that we let common sense prevail and accommodate the project because it was no fault of theirs that it's not getting done on time, and I think it's important that they get the benefit of everything that was approved. So I would recommend that we go ahead and we recommend the extension. So anybody have any other questions or comments?
The only thing, Mary Ellen, that we should notify the taxing entities because their tax structure will be a little different now. Correct?
That'll happen.
Right, Kevin?
That'll happen, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But just to notify them so when they're putting their budgets together, they'll realize that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Thanks, Ed.
Yeah. And to add to that too, one of the reasons that we're doing this now rather than later is to make sure that it doesn't interrupt or conflict with any school tax billing cycles. We wanted to catch it before that bill starts, so we don't have to go back and remediate anything. So, Kevin.
All right.
Okay, Kevin, go ahead.
Thank you, everybody.
Resolution authorizing the Orange County Industrial Development Agency to 1, amend the tax agreement to delay the agency-approved partial real property tax abatement benefits to the Hampton Park LLC project for 1 year. 2, amend the lease agreement, the memorandum of leaseback agreement, and the memorandum of leaseback agreement to coincide with the end of the term of the tax agreement. 3, extend the agent status of Hampton Park LLC in connection with the company undertaking the project as an agent of the agency. And 4, execute and deliver an extended sales tax exemption package, extended New York State Form ST60 and related documents.
Okay, we need a motion and a second.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Schreibeis.
Yes.
Mr. McCary.
Yes.
Mr. Gatos.
Yes.
Mr. Brescia. Steve Brescia?
Anymore?
He's here. He's muted.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, yes, definitely.
Thank you.
Mr. DeSalvo.
Yes.
Mr. Diana.
Yes.
Chairwoman Rogowski.
Yes.
That's 7 ayes, Madam Chairman. Resolution's adopted.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mark, you're good to go.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Mark.
All right.
Okay, so then the next resolution that we need to talk about is Merlin Entertainment Group, also known as Legoland.
That is correct. So again, just like with the last one here, we have Dominic, Stephanie, and Brian. I thought we had Ian here too, but it looks like the three of them are here from Legoland. I'll do a quick preamble, just like I did for the last one, and then I'll turn it over to you guys for anything you'd like to say. Again, the Legoland pilot, this one is only a tiny bit different. Legoland has a longer sales tax exemption because of the nature of its project. There's going to be operation and construction at the same time. So originally their sales tax exemption was set to expire in 2025. They're going to request that that be pushed out again a year to 2026. As a reminder, it doesn't change the threshold to which Legoland will be able to spend. It'll just change the amount of time they're allowed to spend those funds. And then the same with the pilot. Again, with this one, the actual school year is 2020 to 2021, while the county and town tax year is 2021. But again, in an effort to avoid any confusion in the school billing process, and in order to basically to maximize the incentive, again, we'll just push that all down so that instead of starting in 2021 for the school, for the town and county, it'll start 2022. And for the school district, it will be 2021 to 2022. And again, with all of that being said, the same incentives are in place. This was scheduled actually quite perfectly. If it weren't for COVID, this would have been the most well-timed pilot that we have ever been able to write, because it was perfectly set to be enacted when they opened this July 4th. Unfortunately, everything was delayed. So with that, I would turn it over to Dominic, Stephanie, Brian, if you have anything you'd like to add to that. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Lori. This is Dominic Credisco, and I just first I want to say it's a true pleasure to see you all. You know, in this time where everybody's being distant, it is you know, a privilege to see everybody happy and healthy and getting back to work as you can. So Lori's summary was spot on. We're all disappointed, obviously, that we cannot open the park to the public this July 4th. Construction is restarting now. Construction had continued because we were allowed to continue for the roadwork work. So that's continuing on. But the extensions that we're requesting were intended to time up with the opening of the park. And the opening of the park is now slated for 2021. And then after that, there will be ongoing investments in the property itself with following openings of the resort hotel and other amenities that were planned and approved as part of the overall project.
Anybody have any questions for anybody? Mariel, you're muted.
I just got to know. Any questions or comments? I was happy to see that they're still moving forward, Dominic. I was a little worried there.
Yes, you know, so much time and effort and consideration, and you know, it was a project that came together with everybody's input and assistance, and for that to possibly, you know, be set aside or become a victim to the pandemic would truly have been heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Obviously, people are affected with their own health, and there's no, you know, comparison with that. But I think the region itself has gotten behind this project, and it's been a true privilege for me to be part of, to be honest.
Yeah, good. I think it's a great project. I'm looking forward to bringing my grandchildren there as soon as we can. Anybody have any further questions or comments? Okay.
My wife already got season tickets. She's jumping.
Did she? That's good. That's good for the economy, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin, you want to do your thing?
I will, thank you. Resolution authorizing the Orange County Industrial Development Agency to, 1, amend the tax agreement to extend the agency approval partial real property tax abatement benefits to the Merlin Entertainment Group U.S. Holdings, Inc. project for 1 year. 2, amend the lease agreement, the memorandum of lease, the leaseback agreement, and the memorandum of leaseback agreement to coincide with the end of the term of the tax agreement. 3, extend the agency status of Merlin Entertainment Group's U.S. Holdings, Inc. in connection with the company undertaking the project as an agent of the agency. And 4, execute and deliver an extended sales tax exemption package, extend the New York State Forms ST60 and related documents.
Okay, so we'll entertain a motion to approve what Kevin said.
So moved.
Thank you.
Mo, second.
Thank you. Will you
Mr.
do the roll call?
Schreibeis,
Yes.
Mr. McCary,
Yes.
Mr. Gatos,
Yes.
Mr. Brescia,
You're on mute, Steve. There you go.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Mr.
good.
DeSalvo,
Yes.
Mr. Diana,
You're muted too, Ed.
Oh,
Mr. Diana,
All right, yes.
Chairwoman Rogalski.
Yes.
That's 7 ayes, Madam Chairwoman. Resolution adopted.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, and good luck getting done, you guys.
yeah, we'll
Thank
be in
you so much.
touch. Thank you for your
Yes.
patience too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Okay. Okay, so we have to next go into an attorney-client privilege meeting, which would be like an executive session. Correct? You need a motion for that?
You need a motion, you need a motion to go into it.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll entertain a motion to enter into the attorney-client meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. Need a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Dean, you got to do your thing. Okay, we're back. The only other thing we have on the agenda is any other board business, which I have none. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about? Okay, so hearing none, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.